Hello and welcome, my little darlings, to another episode of The Unqualified Mrs. Cupid. This is your host, Mrs. Cupid. Very happy to have you here today. For today's episode, we are going to be talking about insecurities. There is not a single human being in this earth that doesn't have insecurities. And sometimes insecurities can be so big that we're not able to control them anymore. And if anything, the insecurities are the ones who are controlling us. My girlfriend told me about a time she had a side dude in a previous relationship, so should I trust her less now? I am male 18, so basically one day my female 18 girlfriend had asked me if I have ever had sex with two people in the same night. When I asked her if she did, she told me a story about when she did. I assumed the story was going to be about when she was single and had a threesome. But it was about her having sex with her boyfriend and then her side dude noticing that she already had sex when it was his turn. Parenthesis, she had the side dude lined up because her boyfriend never made her come. When she said the word side dude, I could feel the way I look at her changing. I immediately started looking at her eyes less. Like, who's to say you don't have a side dude right now, too? If she did that in a past relationship, I should be on the fence about her doing that in our relationship as well, right? I don't want to act too fast because my body count is 10 and her is 3. And it could have been a long ago enough to change. I'ma ask her how old she was when this happened. I think she could have matured and maybe she isn't a cheater now because she does communicate with me when there are problems. I feel like if she was still a cheater, she wouldn't have been dumb enough to tell me that she cheated. A good cheater would have told me she never cheated on her ex. I mean, the way this is phrased, it does sound like she just blatantly admitted that she cheated on her ex boyfriend. But I think that we need more information because I have no idea if this guy has ever talked about the specific terms of that relationship because, well, maybe she and her ex boyfriend were in an open relationship or they weren't exclusive. Like they were together but not that serious. And because in this post they are 18, meaning that she must have been like 16 or something like that when that happened, which means that they were pretty young. And when you're younger you can feel like you really want to explore more and see what are your options and experiment and all of that jazz, because again they are super young, they are 18. And okay, maybe 18 is not that young or whatever and I'm the one who's getting old, but when you're younger you care more about what people think. You are very afraid of prejudice and people just judging the way that you are dealing with your private life, and this fear sometimes even follows you when you grow up. Like everyone needs to have an opinion, and I think that we are still living in times when open relationships or not being exclusive is not well looked at. People can get very, very judgy when you say you are in an open relationship. They start thinking that you don't like commitment or this or that, and it's really annoying. It gets really annoying. So, for all we know, maybe she was not exclusive with this guy, or maybe they had an open relationship and she was actually not cheating and she was not doing anything wrong. But at the same time, I do understand where this guy is coming from because I think that I have mentioned this so many times before, but cheating is the biggest fear anyone has when entering in a relationship, because situations like this can really have you start questioning the nature of the person that you are dating, and it can start creating all of these insecurities and doubts and questions about the person that you're dating, about their nature, because you start asking yourself, am I enough for this person? Like, are they okay with just sleeping with one person, or maybe they need to sleep with other people to feel satisfied? And another reason why I really feel for this guy is because she said that she already had another guy lined up because her ex never made her come. And I can understand the pressure that that must have put on this guy's shoulder, because now he will be like, okay, if I am not being able to give her the pleasure that she needs, she will cheat on me. She will start looking for another dude. So I need to do this correctly. And when you are enjoying yourself with your partner, you shouldn't be feeling pressure to do things perfectly and correctly, or otherwise they will be cheating on you. And the cliche answer is that he needs to talk with her. And I think that the way that he needs to ask her is, the other day you told me about how you slept with another dude because your boyfriend never made you come, and that comment made me really, really nervous and made me very uneasy. And I think that I need you to clarify to me what type of relationship you have with this guy, and if she had cheated or if maybe they were not exclusive. And depending on that answer, that conversation can lead to different places. But if it is the case that she indeed cheated, he needs to sit down and evaluate by himself what type of relationship he will be having with this girl now that he knows that she was a cheater. Will he be able to feel safe and relax in that relationship, or will he be nervous and just pondering upon the idea of her cheating on him whenever they're not together? Because what happens when she goes on a trip with her best friends without him? Will he feel okay? Will he be like, she has cheated before because she was not being satisfied, and we will be far away and she will have these options? And when you have an insecurity, your mind runs wild. So he really would need, if that was the case, to think about if he will be able to be, to be calm inside that relationship, or if maybe they will start being in this cycle of his insecurities. So the best thing that he can do is really think about how he will feel in that relationship from that point on. So yeah, just sit down with her and ask her about all of the details that led her to her having a side dude. And from there, just think about how will you feel inside that relationship now that you have this piece of information, and if you will be able to be truly happy and feel truly safe there. And that would be all. Insecurities gets crazy the longer I'm 22 female in a relationship. Hi, I would love your advice on this issue. I, 22 female, have been in a great relationship with my boyfriend, 29 male, for over a year now. We had a couple of rough patches in the beginning due to some ex baggage on my end and trust issues on his end. But we made it through stronger and moved in together after 6 months. In the beginning of the relationship, I really didn't have any insecurities. I could care less about who he was contacting on his phone, if he watched porn, his past relationships, etc. I have done some thinking and have come to the conclusion that I felt that way because I was less invested. I felt that it was unjustifiable for me to feel any sort of insecurity because A, who knew how long it was going to last, and B, we just started dating, so it's not really my place to have those emotions. Now it's been a year and my insecurity has taken a dramatic turn for the worst. My boyfriend is more secure and trusting than ever, while I have just become obsessively insecure. The porn doesn't bother me, but the idea of him looking at another woman with sexual desire sickens me. When we're having sex, I think of him having better sex with someone in his past relationships. When he is annoyed or upset with me, I think of him having a better time with an ex. I am constantly asking him for security, which he gives me, but he's getting burned out and I am getting progressively more hurt by nothing. We have talked about our past experiences with other people, and I found out that he's been with twice, 3 times as many people as I have, and that really bothers me. He didn't really want to hear about my relationship, so we decided that we would stop talking about those kind of things with each other. But now I find myself constantly trying to fill in the blanks. I am an innately curious person and getting upset about the assumptions I have made or the answers I find. At this point, I just don't know what to do. I feel distant because he's getting frustrated by my emotions, and I also feel stupid for feeling this way. I have noticed in my relationships before, the longer I was with someone, the more insecure I got. I don't want it to ruin the good thing that we have, and I feel like this is a real possibility. What I feel that's happening in this one is that we have a very big case of being afraid of being vulnerable in a relationship, and you will tell me that doesn't make sense because she is constantly letting him know about her insecurities and how she's feeling, and that she needs him to reassure her that he's happy with her. What's making this case so hard for me is that there is very little information from where these insecurities are coming from, because she obviously has a self-esteem problem and she thinks very little of herself and she is just projecting. And I think this is one of those cases where that low self-esteem is causing a self-sabotage case in her relationship. Because the moment that her relationship is getting more serious and she's falling more in love and she's feeling more vulnerable, what her brain is doing is that it is trying to pick or choose a reason as of why he would leave her. So her brain is trying to be one step ahead of why he would leave her, and at the same time her brain is trying to pick up all of these things and try to cause a problem with him so they can have a fight and and they can break up, because this the brain is so crazy because of that. If you are so insecure with yourself, sometimes it will be hard for your brain to believe that someone truly loves you and that they are not looking at someone else, or they are not still thinking about better options out there. Like you're telling yourself, oh, there's someone better than me, and they will probably find them, and they will leave me for that person because I'm not worth it, and I'm not that pretty, and I'm not that good, and probably he's not enjoying his time with me because I'm not that fun either. Your brain just starts working, and it starts creating all of these arguments in your head that have no actual sense or basis to them, but you have this issue inside you that it's hidden and is trying to destroy you from inside out. And she mentions in this story how she had some baggage with an ex, and I don't know, maybe in her past relationship she was with someone who maybe told her really hurtful things, or really made her feel replaceable and like she was not good enough, and now she is incapable of being in a relationship and not think that she is those things. She's just constantly telling herself those things. And what I have that can prove this theory right for me is that the more time they spend together and the more fed up he's growing with her, the more insecure she is becoming. So this is clearly self-sabotage. And what's crazy about self-sabotage is that it can take years for you to realize how you self-sabotage your relationships. This can happen with family, friends, lovers, with absolutely everyone. And it sounds horrible, but it is very true when people say that I can be there for you when you are healing your mental health, but you cannot expect me to not reach a limit as well. Because at the end of the day, it's no one's duty to save you from your own self. You're the only one that can save yourself, and you can have people there supporting you, but you cannot expect others to come and do that work for you. And what she really needs is that she needs to go to a therapist and talk about whatever is going inside her, and maybe start digging in her personal relationships through her life, because you never know where these kind of things come from. Sometimes you think that, oh, I have an amazing relationship with this person, and then you go to therapy and start talking about it, and if you have a good therapist, they can start pointing out like, this comment was not good. It seems like this thing that they did really affected you. And then you stop and just have like an epiphany, because you realize that, oh my god, that one thing they said when I was in a vulnerable point literally just shaped me to the point where I am right now. Something that you might think that didn't affect you might be the root of absolutely everything. I kind of see myself in her, with this need of people trying to reassure her that she is enough and that she is loved, but it gets to a point when people can really grow tired of it. And that's how I know that going to a therapist and just talking about her past relationships might be the answer, because I have been there, and it just feels awful to see how you are making the people that you love get tired of you. It's one of the worst feelings, because that's what's dangerous about those type of insecurities that are rooted in something bigger inside you, is that it's almost like your brain is trying to validate these horrible thoughts that you have about yourself. So you become so insecure that people cannot handle it anymore, because nothing that they do make you feel better, and then they start feeling like they cannot help you anymore, and they grow tired of feeling like that. So for example, like this girl in this case, she's always going with her boyfriend like, I feel insecure, please reassure me. And he has been doing that, but nothing that he does seems to be enough. And he will get to that point where he will not only grow tired of trying to reassure her, but he will start feeling like he's not enough and that he's not the person for her, because no matter what he does, he can never make her feel good. And so he will leave, and her brain will be like, I told you, he liked other women. You weren't enough. You didn't do this, you didn't do that, and now you scared him. And it's like the brain is trying to justify those insecurities that she has. And I don't think that it's a coincidence or something random that the more in love she is with this guy and the more serious the relationship it's getting, the more insecure she's feeling. It's not a coincidence at all. It's really, really rooted in something inside her that made her feel that being that in love with someone is impossible for her, that it's a crazy idea for someone to love her like that, and that at any second he will find a better option and leave her. And the only thing that she can do right now is seek a therapist and let her boyfriend know that she will be working with a professional on her mental health and her self-image, and hope that he stays with her in this journey, because sometimes healing yourself from these things in therapy doesn't happen in 6 months. It can take years. And if you're blessed enough, you will find someone that will be with you through that journey, because sometimes it can be very difficult. I really hope that she found the answers and that peace of mind that she deserves. I feel like I can't keep a relationship because of my flaws. I, 27 male, have always suffered from depression and anxiety. I don't want to use this as an excuse, but as context for the way I act sometimes. I have had two serious relationships in my adult life, and both have ended because my partner believes we were stuck in a cycle that made us both unhappy. They don't exactly blame me, but I definitely feel like I am the problem, and it happening twice now has solidified that. My last relationship just ended, and I feel like I can't ever change, and that I am not ever going to feel like I can sustain a relationship. I know I can be lazy. It probably is my biggest flaw. I often put off things that stress me because ignoring them is easy. I just feel like I can break the cycle. I have tried medication and therapy and they help, but even when I put all of the advice into practice, I always regress. Has anyone gone through this? How did you manage to change and stick to it? I feel like this relates to the case that I have just read. So I do think it's another case of your brain trying to create all of these issues around you in order to justify the insecurities around you. I think it's exactly the same case. But I do also think that there are many cases where they make their mental health issues their whole personality, and not even about just telling everyone, and every time that they do something that has to do, it's like, oh my god, that's my anxiety acting up. I know you know what type of people I'm talking about, and I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the fact that you start recognizing that you're acting in certain ways because of your mental health, and you tell yourself, well, that's how I act because of it, and I don't think I can change that, or I think it's very difficult, I don't know how to deal with it. And that's how you fall in a cycle where you are becoming um, used to it, but used to it in a bad way. You are not learning how to deal with it. You are getting comfortable with those symptoms. So you are telling yourself, I'm trying to change them, but not really. You're just growing comfortable with them. And it's really hard to break from those cycles as well. And he says that it had happened twice where his partners are telling him that they're falling in this unhappy cycle. So he is clearly not dealing with those things or trying to change them. He's just getting used to living like that. He also said, I do not use my mental health as an excuse, but as a backstory as of why I am like that. What is he doing? What he's not doing? I have no idea. There is absolutely not more information than what I'm giving you. I cannot really tell you. Also, I'm not a professional, so I cannot diagnose or tell something it's happening specifically. I'm just talking from my own experience with these type of things, right? So I can always be wrong. But from what I'm reading here, I'm just deducing that he has been getting used to acting like that because of his anxiety and his depression. And he asked, how did you manage to change and stick to it? The only way that you can stick to something is forcing yourself to do it until it becomes a habit. So I will use myself as an example just to explain this further. So when my depression used to get really bad, that it still does from time to time, but now I know how to deal with it better. But back in the day when I didn't, and I was still going to therapy a lot, I would stay in my pajama and I wouldn't take a shower. That's when I discovered, together with my therapist, that when I didn't take a shower or didn't change, I was telling my body and my mind that I was doing absolutely nothing that day. So I began showering every day. Sometimes, it was hard. Like at the start, I would do it like maybe once a week, twice a week, and I would force myself. Like I'm talking about in the summer when I didn't have to go to school. So even in the summers, I would force myself to get in the shower and get dressed, even if it was 2 p.m., 3 p.m. I would take a shower and I would make my bed. Making my bed every single day and looking at my room, how it was clean and it looked like it was put together, and I was showered and I was also put together, it started to help my mind to understand that I was doing something, that I need to get up and do something. And that helped me so much, but it was not easy. You're talking that this took me like a year, like a whole year of trying to force myself to take a shower and make my bed every day, even if I didn't have plans for that day, even if all that I was doing that day was staying in my home. Take a shower and make your bed, because you need to tell your mind and your body that you're doing something and that you're getting better, that you will not stay there any longer. And that's the only way sometimes that you can stick to something. It's not that you want to do it, because obviously when you're dealing with these type of things, obviously your body and your mind don't want to do it, and you need to fight it, and you need to force yourself to do those things. So if this guy really wants to get out of this loop that he has fallen into, and it's a journey. There's no other way to put it. It truly is a journey to try to get yourself out of the habits that can bring you down. But sometimes that's the only way that you can do these things, and that's why it can be very difficult. Like, you are fighting against yourself. So it's not easy. Like, you can do it. You can go and do it, but it will take a lot of forcing yourself to do it. I ruined my relationship because of my insecurities. As the title implies, I messed up my relationship because of inner insecurities slash trauma. I have known this girl for about 6 months. She is so gorgeous, smart, funny, and a person which can be easily trusted. I fell for her because of this and made me believe that problems related to trust slash insecurity could be avoided. I told her that I liked her at first, but she rejected me straight. I stayed around her and knowing her better until we finally had our first date and then began dating more. We agreed on not dating anyone but us. We share affection, we hug, we held hands, and talk about our problems. We were practically a couple. She is very shy and not very physical, but she really tried after we discovered that my love language was quality time slash physical affection. I did the same with her love language, act of services. This by doing things that could make her day easier and being thoughtful of her. Problems began because I told her that I felt insecure about her feelings because I couldn't believe that her feelings were real, derived of thoughts from the time that she first rejected me, and told her that she was only going with the flow with me, and the fact that she sometimes didn't give me affection or was in doubt. We talked about this and continued in a good way. She reassured me that what she was feeling was real and that she doesn't do that kind of things like saying I love you and hugging with anyone, and not so easily. We continue in good terms, but I began distrusting situations and things that she said, like that she was going to the doctor with her sister, and told her that I thought she was lying because I had in mind one situation in which she lied. This situation wasn't the first time we dated. She lied to her parents about what she was doing because they didn't know she was on a date with me. She did this because she is from a very restrictive household and was afraid of her parents' opinion slash control over her life. So I told her that it was possible that she was lying. She took it personally and reminded me the fact that I said to her that her feelings were not real and told me that we gotta work on ourselves and that our relationship will not work on the way it's headed. That she needs to work on her family environment to acquire the independence she needs, and that I need to work on my trusting issues slash anxiety slash self-esteem. And maybe someday we could try again. I really like to think this will happen, but I don't have high hopes, and this makes me so sad because I messed up with her, my first real connection. I need some advice and some kind words to cheer me up. I plan to go to a therapist and work on those things I know I lack, but couldn't help feel bad. I feel I lost something very special to me. If I need to say something to make this guy feel better, some kind words, it would be that sometimes bad things happen to us, so we can realize that we need to work on ourselves and that we can get better, that we need to find ways to get better. I'm very happy to read that he is already looking forward to see a therapist to work on those insecurities. This is something that a lot of people do and they do not realize how bad and toxic it is, and it's how they keep tabs on their partners, because he is saying that she told him that she lied to her parents once because her situation is very specific and it indeed required her to lie, and he took it as an excuse to distrust her. Instead of saying, wow, she could have gotten in trouble with her parents just to be in a date with me, so that means that she is really interested in me and in having a relationship with me. Instead of thinking that, he was like, she lied once, so she will lie to me. And context matters, people. Context matters in every single situation. Never lie. Lying is bad. But I hope that you get what I'm saying. And a lot of people do not realize that that's an issue that needs to be dealt with. It's not healthy to feel doubt and be suspicious of your partner and everything they say. Because what will happen is that you will push them into a corner where everything that they have ever done or say will be used against them. And you don't want to be in a relationship where everything that you do is being policed. Because when these type of things are not properly treated, what happens is that it starts like this, you just being like, oh, you lied once, so that means that you can lie to me as well. And when you least expect it, you start becoming very paranoid in every single relationship that you have. Because again, there's some issues inside you that you have not properly treated. I feel like I have repeated myself so much in this episode, but I just do feel like it's very important to talk about mental health and relationships because our mental health just guides us through our lives. And when we are not able to deal with those things, we're not able to sustain very healthy relationships, not even with like romantic partners, but just with absolutely everyone. And this guy is 26 years old, so he is not a child anymore. And that just shows how long we can go through our lives without treating ourselves. So I just think that if you are feeling like this guy, you're finding yourself in these type of situations where you cannot control your insecurities or these type of toxic thoughts, please look for a therapist and just know that it's not normal for you to feel this insecure or doubt your partner so much. And if you find yourself dating someone that it's making you doubt yourself and doubt your self-worth, then get yourself out of there because that can lead to a very ugly path that you don't want to go to. So just please remember, take care of your mind. Your mental health is important. The way you think about yourself and the way you perceive your relationships with others is also very important. So don't ever let yourself get used to those feelings, to feel like that. Don't ever let that happen. Always look for ways to make yourself feel happier and okay with yourself. Take care of your mental health and the way you feel about yourself. And you will see that the happier you are with yourself, the better your relationships with others will get. And that's my advice for this whole episode. Always take care of your mental health. And with that said, we reached the end of this week's episode. I really hope that you enjoyed your time with me because I sure enough enjoy my time with you. This was your host, forever yours, Mrs. Cupid.